Friend. The mysterious entity that seems to be stalking the shadows of Deltarune's story.
What the hell is that?
If you don't know who that is, and even if you're a casual Deltarune fan, it's completely understandable if you don't. Friend. The creepy little smiling creature that can be glimpsed very occasionally in Deltarune chapters 2, 3 and 4. Secret pieces of the overarching prophecy, ARG mysteries, and the consistent theming of pink and yellow throughout Deltarune seems to hint at him being a major player in the story to come. Boom, that's right, it's done in 22 seconds. With that out of the way, we can get on to my theory. Now, my theory is split into 3 separate chunks, and don't worry, Friend is waiting for us in chunk 3, but before that, before we talk about our favourite smiley feline, we have to talk about someone else. Talk about someone that Friend is intrinsically attached to. Kris is weird, and I mean that in a lot of different ways. Weird in that they're the only human in Hometown. Weird in that they're a freaky little freak, and everyone in Hometown knows it, and Susie and Noelle like it.
Yeah, bitch!
But they're also weird in terms of the Dark World. Let me take you all the way back to chapter 1. Probably not what you expected, considering it's the only chapter with 0 friend in it, but it's just as important for what we're dealing with here, and this is why. When you start Deltarune, fresh save, shiny new copy you just bought for the first time ever, you get told that this is for people that have already played Undertale. That feeds into a lot of important moments in chapter 1 as well as what comes afterwards. And a massive part of Undertale is saving, loading, resetting. These were pretty major plot points throughout the endings of the game in every single route. Hell, the climax of what is arguably the true ending of the game is a play on words when it comes to saving. The main antagonist is someone who has been resetting over and over again until we come along. And in Deltarune, that system exists too. Okay, well, maybe not in the exact same way, but a version of it clearly does. And the most interesting point of all is that when we enter the Dark World for the first time, Kris already has a save point. Kris has already been here before, outside of our influence. And it's the same in the following chapters. This is not how it worked in Undertale, and it's absolutely not a development oversight. When Toby was later forced to do something fucky with the save points, that being putting them in the Light World, he was unusually transparent in pointing this out as something he was hesitant about adding. Combined with the flavour text we get, I don't think these should be seen as important story or lore-wise. But what this tells us is that, besides the whole save point in the Light World not being important for theorists' part, is that, in Tricky Tony's opinion, save points are still so integral to the lore that when they briefly change, it is important enough to say that this is not important. And yet, this part still remains the same. So, Kris has saved and loaded in Dark Worlds before. I'm going to take that little tidbit of information and store it here for the time being. This is our first pillar. Let's move on to number 2. This one might not be quite as well known because it wasn't something that was found immediately. But again, to give a quick little TLDR of what we have so far, there is a very prevalent fan theory that Kris is going to lose their hand at some point over the coming chapters. The evidence for this is small, amounting to bits and pieces, but they're definitely very interesting, very interesting, very convincing bits and pieces. First, the Shadow Crystals, which, I mean, we don't really know what their purpose is going to be in the story yet, but they're obviously extremely important, and can seemingly tell the future. And one of them describes how, when peered into, we think that just for a moment, Kris can see through their hand. So yeah, that's probably going to be important in some way. And then there's room 1225. For the uninitiated, this is a secret, bizarre room in chapter 3 that you can access by inserting 1225 points, the birthday of December Holiday, who is the knight and nobody else by the way, into the prize machine. It's an unnerving space, to say the least, and when you get to the end, you get two things. A blue gumball machine, yeah, I've got no idea what to make of that, and what appears to be a shadow crystal inside, which tells you that you couldn't find it. You couldn't find your hand. And these are the two main chunks of evidence, though there's certainly a few other pieces of flavour text, and that flavour is spicy, through Deltarune that are seemingly hinting towards this. And I don't believe Tony, Trickster God Fox put these in here for zero reason. This won't be a bait and switch. You don't have your red herring be somewhere quiet and secret and out of the way. You put your red herrings front and centre for everyone to see. That being said, I disagree with the fan base at large about what it means. I don't think Kris is going to lose their hand, or at least, I don't think that is what these cryptic messages are trying to say. Let me bring this all together into my theory. Let's finally talk about device_friend. This silly little guy has been quite the hot topic throughout the Deltarune community once the dust settled from Chapter 3 and 4's release. I feel like every little detail about Friend has been discussed to death. Every single mention of yellow and pink throughout the history of Undertale and Deltarune combed through. But there's one massive thing that I feel hasn't gotten nearly the level of discussion that it deserves. We actually have a full-on design for Friend. Sure, he'll certainly look more complete when he inevitably shows up as a proper character in-game, but the full-on design for Friend, I feel, got looked at, everyone said, huh, he looks a lot like one of the amalgams from the True Lab, and then moved on with their day. Well, not me! Take another look at Friend's design. A proper good look. Yes, it looks like one of the amalgams, but you know what else it looks like? Well, it's not a cat. It's got 5 appendages, and none of those are a tail. You know what it does kind of resemble, though? A hand. Friend is Kris's hand. Okay, hear me out. There's a reason I need this much build-up, and it's because my idea sounds insane without it. Okay, it still sounds insane, but let me explain. Let me cook. Is that already outdated? Whatever. We know that Kris has already been in the first couple of Dark Worlds, at least. They've already used the save mechanic, but nobody there knows them. And I think it's because they reset. They've already done this all before, potentially the whole of Deltarune before. And now that's where we, the player, come in. Whether they let us in, or an outside force pushed us in, I think everyone thought it was the latter before Chapter 3 and 4, but now it seems pretty clear it's the former. We're going to try and save this doomed narrative. All these mysterious hints about how Kris is going to lose their hand, it's not foreshadowing that they will, it's hints that they already have. Before the clock strikes midnight, the shadow will grow. Oh, the shadow will grow, Serpentine. Even when the clock runs back, the shadow was growing. A patch of shadow, slithering on, Serpentine. Friend is a darkener, made from Kris's disembodied hand from a past reset. And it sounds crazy, but it would explain so much. Why does it show up in a different Dark World, seemingly with some extent of control? Because it's been there before, because Kris has. It's connected to Eiram, which explains why Eiram seems to know so much about Kris, more than they reasonably should. It explains why Kris, no matter how furious they are with us, do put up with us in the end, because they've already seen the future of the prophecy and are willing to do anything to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, how did Kris lose her hand in the first place? No idea, no way we can say for sure. Although the fact that Friend is connected to Gaster through the device part of their name, I don't want to be the guy that thinks that Gaster is behind everything, but I don't know man, Gaster might be behind this one. So, I've given a TLDR of the pieces of the theory, so might as well wrap this in a neat little bow by TLDRing the whole thing, since I admit my writing does have the tendency to get lost in the sauce. Here's the deal. Kris, like Frisk and Flowey before them, can save and reset. Well, they could, before they gave that power over to us. At some point, they tried to complete the prophecy, more or less going through the events of all of Deltarune, and something went horribly wrong. They lost their hand, and even when they reset and got their physical hand back, something remained. Whether by a Gaster experiment or the simple question of what does a body part become in the darkest of dark worlds, it gained a life of its own and reset back with Kris, tying the mysterious threads of Kris's save file, the missing hand, and Friend himself all together. It's perfect! Hey, I said it's perfect, go away! Ugh, fine. The one wrench in my theory, I must admit, is this little bastard here and his anagram. It hints that Friend was the one that was behind the disappearance of Des, and or the trauma that's behind the mysterious Forgotten Man and everything. Does this completely disprove my theory? No, but it certainly makes it more difficult. Sure, maybe whatever it was that led the children away possessed Kris's hand, or maybe this is a time travel kind of thing where Kris and Friend caused Des to become the Knight. It doesn't make it impossible, but it does make me sound a lot more like a Green Pippin. Well, what do you think? If you liked it, it would mean a lot to me if you left a like, or subscribed, that would also be great. Do you have any theories about who or what exactly Friend is? Be sure to let me know what you think. When thousands of people are guessing together, they can't all be wrong. That's probably what Undyne said. Anyway, it's been fun. See you all when Chapter 5 comes out. Bye!